want to do what is loving and caring.
Of a spiritual
But I wasn't prepared.
I think there's also a simplicity about a habit. If you take away the spiritual value of it, just saying
He knows about the
this
nuns as they wear these strange clothes.
is a uniform, everyday kind of a situation. Okay, and
trendy is important to somebody now. You have a sense that you
in a
belong to a certain
much more simple
society.
I
style.
think they saw us as somebody who
We
represented
need
the
to
church, represented
dress
some
simply.
kind of moral values. When you no longer wear that
I
habit,
believe that
who are you and what are you?
that
How are you
says
acting?
something to.
Set Apart is a series about experiencing the habit as women religious. Brought to you by Sister Story, an organization aimed at broadening awareness of Catholic sisters, and sponsored by the Conrad Hilton Foundation. You're listening to the episode Habitual Habit Humans, featuring Sister Avis Almaris, who observed that once she took off her habit, she was treated more like a human than a thing or stereotype. She is a sister of St. Joseph of Carondelet in St. Paul, Minnesota. She was born into a Catholic family and has been a sister for 60 years. She will discuss her role as a sister before and after she wore the habit.
Our motto or our charism is love God and neighbor without distinction. And you can't love God without loving your neighbor, so that's how it is. And I think the sisters have impacted St. Kate's so that they have, I hope, gotten that message, and they have that spirit continue, not only with sisters, not only with vowed religious, but with other people as well. I've had opportunities that other people, certainly my friends who were married, did not have educational opportunities. Whether I would recommend it for today's young people, probably not. I would hope that they would have a little more experience than I did when I first entered, because I entered when I was 17. Okay. And I think now it would be very important for people to have a broader knowledge and information about life issues. We wore a habit that originated in France, was worn by women who were widowed, and it was a means of being safer at that time. I wore the habit from 1952 until probably 1965 or something like that. It was a long black dress. It was obviously created centuries ago. I was hot in summer and cold in winter, and very constrained by it, actually. I was my first day when I put it on, I thought, oh my goodness, I can't wear this thing. It's just too uncomfortable. It is too awful. But as a child, I had kind of thought it would be really romantic to be in a habit. But I certainly was eager, very more than eager, to change when we changed. Well, one of the things that I always felt I was on the spot, like if I went to out on the street or if I went to visit anybody, I was fair game for anybody to tell me about all their problems, et cetera, et cetera. So it was, which was all right to a certain extent, but I felt I was always set apart, that some kind of religious deportment, if you will, or way I acted was supposed to, because I wore the habit, that I was supposed to act in a different way than other people did. Okay. It was amazing to me that, well, many of us, most of us, and everybody who changed the habit was very eager to do so. Many of the people, the parents of the students at that time, really, some of them were very angry that we had changed. I remember one woman came and I would never say this to somebody else, so I was just astounded. A very good friend of ours, an adult woman in the parish, was just berated me about how dare I change and how, I was showing my legs, and I was just stunned. And some people just could not, there was a marked change. And So it was, some people were very antagonistic and others really welcomed the change. So it was very interesting. Land was across here and celluloid. It was some kind of plastic.
Yep.
And then we had this white thing that came down here.
Right.
And then this was also plastic.
Okay.
You know, a white plastic gimp. And then we had huge petticoats. They had huge pockets.
What was the most uncomfortable thing?
The most uncomfortable for me was having to have something on my head.
Okay.
I, to this day, do not want to wear hats
Right.
or anything on my head.
Which could absolutely make sense.
I didn't want to be set apart from the people. That was the most important thing, I think,
Okay.
for me. And then the discomfort. But mostly it was just that I was so uncomfortable being either set on a pedestal or anybody could be my friend on the street, whether I wanted to accept it or wanted it or not.
Right.
I'll tell you about one thing. I was going to go, I met my brother who was a priest in Jamestown. And we were driving to Seattle. And so I got in the car and I had this in-between veil. You know, it wasn't the real habit anymore.
Right.
It was transitional. And I had put it in the back seat because I didn't want it on my head anymore.
Yeah.
And it flew out the window. And he said, "Oh, good riddance." That was the last time I think I wore it.
Oh my goodness. That's actually...
Oh, good. That's gone.
Took care of that one. Oh my
And then it
gosh.
was maybe a year or two when we started wearing shorts and
Okay.
slacks and everything else, so we got rid of all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's great. Did you sense a difference in how people perceived you when you were or were not in the habit?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Not so much the students as their parents.
Okay.
So I don't know what message they were getting at home, but and I was teaching at the time, so that. But some of my best friends, just that were lay people in the parish, just like, oh my God, this is terrible.
That must have been kind of,
Well, it was kind of an eye opener.
Yeah.
That they really were good people,
Mhm.
and there's no question about it. But they had this image of what a nun was.
right.
I guess that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they voiced a concern that the students wouldn't respect us anymore.
Okay.
That was the biggest thing, I think.
Okay. And I mean, did you see? I mean, you
I
kinda
didn't
said that you
I
really
didn't
see any change.
see that, no.
Okay. Did they? Did they react at all? Like, oh, you're wearing a different.
No, but I think part of too what was happening was that we were being far more vocal. The Vietnam War was happening, and we were being far more vocal about how we felt about the war and the United States' involvement in it, and that too might have. And I remember we had gone to a caucus and backed not the regular Democratic person. We were all mostly Democrats, and we kind of took over that caucus and put forward McGovern, and the people, the old-time Democrats, were really angry about that. So it was, you know, they were also parishioners, and it was kind of so some of it was our stance for peace and civil rights at that time too. So some of it was that they were upset. So it was so many changes in people's lives at that time that this was the one thing that was stability,
Right.
was our habits, and all of a sudden that's changing too, and Vatican II is happening. So it was more than just our habits. Well, I think it means to me that it was an outward sign of a committed life. that we were committed to people, we were committed to God, and I think that commitment remains. But it was an outward sign of that, and now I don't need that sign anymore. I have
Right.
another sign.
Okay. Can you share what your?
We've never had any official thing other than
Okay.
the cross. Many sisters wear a small cross.
Okay.
And on occasion I wear my mother's gold cross.
Okay.
But again, I think it's, and I go over to Peace House. I think it's people that represent God to me. I don't. It's the image of God is in people.
Right.
I don't need it in anything else, any other symbol. I just, it's just, I don't know. Other things are sacred to me too. Or my mother and dad's picture.
Yep. Okay.
So I guess I don't know what I would say that I really don't. I felt like I really did finally was doing something I had wanted to do for many years.
Okay.
I really was a sister when I had that habit.
Yeah.
Finally. I work with poor people and I've lived with poor people. And my parents were relatively poor. I choose to I do not buy new clothes. I go to Goodwill or I go to Savers, and I think that makes a statement. People sometimes give me things. I wear jeans and I wear things that I feel comfortable in. And the problem is, if I get them at Goodwill, after I've worn them about 2 years, I can't return them. Because then they're really worn.
Right.
But I go over on Mondays to Peace House. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a drop-in center for street people in Minneapolis. And I like to dress the way they do. Now, some of them dress pretty well, but most of them are dressed about like I am. And I think that's and you can find nice things that people have worn before. So I no longer have to worry about being in style or anything. I mean, when you get to be my age, it doesn't really matter. And like my friends say, nobody's going to look at us anyway. We're just old women.
Oh.
Nobody remembers. We go to a wedding. Who remembers what an old woman wears? So it doesn't really make any difference.
Right.
I have to tell you about this funny thing. This child at the 7th grader, is really Kathy Chatty. She came up and they were doing a fundraiser for school, so we bought some stuff. And she came up to deliver it. And then she said she's on the swim team. And Vicki said, oh, I go swimming, She said, oh, you go swimming? And then I said, well, I go swimming too. And she's like, oh, you swim? I mean, and so that really made me laugh.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I just, thanks, kid. I don't use a cane yet, thank you. But it was wonderful. And I said, yeah, that's something you can do all your life. Are you ever lucky?
Yeah, that's so cool. Oh, that's so great. That's so great.
My idea was to serve God. So it continues. And then when I entered, I thought, oh, I'm going to enter the Sisters of St. Joseph. I didn't know anything about them, nothing. But my aunt had been a Sister of St. She died before I was born. But then I thought, they have orphanages. So I thought I could take care of orphans. That's what I really thought I would do. And then I never did do that.
Okay.
Then I went to the university and got a degree in child psychology.
Oh, okay.
And I did that for 2-3 years. And then the pastor asked me if I would coordinate the Peace and Justice Committee.
Okay.
So I worked in for 30 years as a Peace and Justice coordinator for 3 different parishes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's been my love. That was really what I really wanted to do anyway. So, but I wasn't prepared at all for it. But I've served on a lot of committees and done a lot of stuff, and I feel very good about that part.
Okay. That's awesome.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people in every single parish I worked in that I was truly dedicated to that issue.
Thank you for listening to Set Apart, a series about experiencing the habit as women religious. Brought to you by Sister Story. Special thanks to the Conrad Hilton Foundation for their support. Interviews were conducted by Brianna Berner, Tran John, and Alexa White. Music is from Free Music Archive. This series has been produced by me, Lily Jacobson, with additional support and guidance provided by Garrett Tiedemann and Alicia Beyer. Please connect with us at sisterstory.org. Check out our video content on Vimeo and YouTube. Like us on Facebook and follow Sister Story on Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Planning any events for National Catholic Sisters Week in March 8th through 14th? Connect with us at nationalcatholicsistersweek.org and submit your events for post and promotion. We look forward to hearing from you soon.